Results. That is the standard that the world uses to judge almost everything. In business especially, the only thing that really matters is how much money ends up in the coffers after all the bills are paid. Now, of course, you and I know that that's not all that matters, but the results of our activities are the reason we do what we do. After all, why would you continue day in and day out to do something if it wasn't producing a positive result? Now, another way to say this is that you and I are judged on our performance, not on our intentions. I'll say that again. In life and in business, we are judged on our performance, not on our intentions. How we perform day in and day out, especially in our pursuits, will determine our results to a large degree. So it makes sense to have a set of maxims or proverbs, as I like to refer to them, with which to remind ourselves on the regular what actually matters. Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to the show. My name is Blaine Feyen, founder of the Coaching Academy, and your host for this and every single episode of the always sponsor-free Real Value podcast. So what is a proverb? Well, quite simply, a proverb is typically a short little bit of truth based on, well, common sense, experience, and or, of course, results. And in today's show, we're talking about some of the proverbs that I've gathered over the years from a variety of sources, as well as my own experiences, and what has led to some of my failures and what has led to some of my successes. Now, if you've been listening to this show for at least, 3 months or more, then hopefully you've listened to the episode I did about becoming a key person of influence, where I shared the top 5 things that you need to be doing to build your business based on your influence, instead of waiting around for people to find you based solely on what you sell, which is what most people do. Now, for any of my appraiser brothers and sisters listening to the show whose brains just shut down because they hear the word sell, yes, you, my friends, sell too, even though most of you have no idea how to do it or why it's even relevant to you. As an appraiser, you are selling every time you write up an appraisal report. You are selling every time you give a specific opinion. You are selling your research, your methodology, your ideas, your rationale, your support for your rationale, and on it goes. Prior to the business you have now, for those of you who still have a viable appraisal business here in April of 2024, well, you had to sell someone on why to use you over someone else. So yes, that too, my friends, is selling. You had to sell them on how quickly you could perform the job that they would be hiring you for with each order. You have to sell your clients on why to continue using you week after week over using somebody else. Now, I get it. You don't think of that as selling. And in fact, some of you are so horrifically bad at it that your business likely reflects it today. But I can assure you, my friends, that it is selling. Every day in a variety of ways, we are selling our thoughts, our ideas, our rationale, our choices, our influence, and our reasons to either do something or not do something with and for a variety of stakeholders in our lives. Stakeholders, not stockholders. Every time you're deciding to go out to a restaurant, say with your significant other, one of you has to sell the other in some small or big way on why we should go to the Mexican restaurant over the pizza joint, or why we should go to this specific Mexican restaurant over, say, another one. Friends, whether you hate the word, the idea, or the job of selling, all of life is sales in some way, shape, or form. Even when no other human beings are involved, we're selling ourselves all day long on a variety of things, like why we shouldn't eat or drink a particular thing, why we need to exercise, why to choose one thing over another. All of that is selling, whether you're selling to yourself or you're selling to somebody else. So get comfortable with the idea and the word so that you can get comfortable with the practice of the art and science of selling and strive to get better at it. Your business and your bank account will thank you. Now, with all of that in mind, let's get right to the first proverb. The first proverb of business, my friends, is this: you get what you believe in and constantly speak into reality. Wait for it, both the good and the bad. I'll say that again. You get what you believe in and constantly speak into reality. Yes, your language creates your reality to a large degree. But the caveat, the last part of that, is both the good and the bad. Now, without going too deep on the science of belief, since I've done many episodes on this topic already, you have to just trust me on this concept or look into it yourselves, that our lives to a large degree are based on what we think, what we believe, not necessarily on what we want. Since the vast majority of our belief systems are subconscious, meaning below conscious thought, most people have no real idea of what they believe on a variety of topics because most of our beliefs are given to us. They're handed to us. They are injected into us when we're young and impressionable. In fact, very few people take the time and the energy to dig into those beliefs as they age and decide for themselves if those beliefs, those thoughts, those ideas are empowering ones or limiting ones for those specific people at that point in their life. And as a result, and since our language skills develop commensurate with our belief system, we have a constant loop of beliefs playing in our heads all day long that guide and direct our thoughts and our actions. As a result, our results as well. Now, what we also do on an almost moment-to-moment basis is we speak into reality the very things we often say we don't want. Because anytime you give attention, energy, and focus to something, and usually it's the things we're complaining about, you're giving them the energy to survive and make themselves known in your reality. I'll say that again. Whatever you speak into reality on a moment-to-moment basis, whether it's good or it's bad, quite often are the things you say you don't want. Why, if we say we don't want a particular thing, would we possibly speak it into reality, Blaine? Well, because what we give our attention and energy to on a moment-to-moment basis has almost no choice but to show up in some form in our lives. Stop giving energy, attention, and focus to the things you say you don't want. Give a little bit more energy, attention, and focus to the things you do want. So if you hate selling, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, what do you imagine your internal dialogue is like moment to moment? What do you imagine your external dialogue is like? If you can't stand, for example, the appraisal management companies, the AMCs, and you frequently express this hatred to the world, what would you expect the outcome of your business to be? What you give your attention, your energy, and your focus to on a regular basis, whether conscious or subconscious, my friends, is what you will experience in your daily life. If you want something good to happen, if you want an outcome to be positive, you have to think and speak it into reality regularly. If you want better clients to know that you exist, if you want to become respected, remembered, and revered, if you want your client base and your market to consider using you and your company, you have to talk about it on a regular basis and get in front of more people with the power to make that happen. One of the very first steps on the path to mastery of this particular proverb is getting super, super clear on the value you provide, exactly who you want to provide that value to. And I'll give you a little hint. It is not everyone. If you think you're selling to everyone, you're actually selling to no one. And then, of course, you need to talk about it all the time to the people who have the ability to see your value and utilize it, or connect you with those who do. Now, I can't emphasize, my friends, this particular proverb enough, because everything begins and ends with mindset. And until you address this issue, you'll almost always struggle with growth in your life and in your business. Now, of course, you might see some random spikes in your numbers every now and then, and you'll think it's because you're so super special. But if it's not based on your intentional focus on what you want and not on what you don't want, it will be fleeting and it will eventually move away from you. That is the order of all things. Second proverb of performance is this: real influence comes from your production, not from your personality. Friends, real influence, and we talk about influence on this show all the time. If you want to have real influence, be a producer. Real influence comes from doing something, making something happen. It comes from your production, not from your personality. What this proverb is referring to is where real influence comes from. We live in a world today where the word influencer is a common one. There are people that are out there making their living solely by being an influencer of some sort in some genre or industry. And yes, influencers have influence. And then there, of course, are the people who are prolific producers of results, who have influence naturally simply because of what they produce, what they create, what they do, what they accomplish. And while I am not making a qualitative judgment about one being better than the other, an influencer or one who produces, the reality is that most of the people listening to this show will never become influencers per se, but that doesn't mean you don't have to have or can't have influence. The type of influence that matters in business and will matter to your bank account is the type of influence that comes from your production. Producers, my friends, are influencers because what really matters is output, creating something, making something happen, bringing something into the world that didn't exist yesterday. When you create something of value, you've created the power to influence others. If you want to have some influence with others, create something of value. The more production you are responsible for, the more influence you have. It's quite simple, whether you want it or not and choose to leverage it or not. In fact, I've talked in prior episodes about becoming a person of influence and why you want to start working on your personal brand in 2024. And one of the reasons is because we live in an era that values people who have influence with others. Those are the people we call influencers. And one of the best ways to gain influence with others is to be very clear about the problem you solve, and then, of course, solve that problem at scale, whatever scale means for you. I work with a lot of people, a lot of coaching students who don't necessarily have the kind of personality that is going to propel them in their business as a person of influence. They don't have the natural gift of gab or a great speaking voice or a model face or a persona made for public experiences and so on. However, when you realize that real influence comes from production, from output, from creation, and not necessarily from personality, then the focus gets put back on what matters, producing something of value and doing it a lot. That's the second proverb of performance. The third proverb of performance is this: income follows assets, not effort. Income follows assets, not effort. And this one comes straight from Daniel Priestley's teaching in his book, 24 Assets. It's been one of the more eye-opening reflections, if you will, over the last 10 years for me. Most of the listeners will understand this implicitly because of the type of work we do. Many of the listeners of the show are involved in real estate in some way. Real estate is almost always considered to be an asset or a class of assets. An asset is anything that would still have value even if you disappeared. Your house will still be valuable even after you move out and after you sell it. If you still have, it will still have value likely after you die. It will still have value 100 years from now, assuming it's built well and still standing, and assuming it's been cared for and still has utility. It'll be an asset. And those of you who say your business is an asset, I would suggest you ask the question, can your business continue without you? Maybe it could for a while, but most of you have one or two person businesses, which I'm not making a judgment on. But those businesses would likely decline fairly rapidly if you disappeared for, say, 30 days or more. That means you don't have an asset, friends. You have a paid sales or production job. Nothing wrong with that unless it's not what you want. Because what this proverb says is that income follows assets, not effort. If you work for somebody else, yes, you probably get paid for your effort to some degree, but you'll also likely be paid more if you create some kind of value-added business practice, some new line of business, a new marketing campaign, or a proprietary business process. All of which are considered, by the way, assets. Income follows assets, not effort. And for those of you wondering what I mean by assets in this context, again, it's anything that would still be valuable without you. This podcast, for example, is an asset in that there are over, as of this recording, 300 plus episodes that will continue to be available in the ether for as long as the ether exists. Even if I stop making these episodes today, the catalog of past episodes are considered an asset. A new way of doing things that might make a business more efficient and therefore profitable is considered an asset. The culture you create in your business that keeps good people working with you for a long time is considered an asset. Intellectual property is an asset. Videos are an asset. Content is an asset. Developing a killer brand is an asset. Systems and processes and standard operating procedures are assets. And friends, income follows assets, not effort. Start creating some assets. The fourth proverb of performance, and one of my favorites, is this: become known and recognized by the success of your clients. I'll say it again. It is more valuable to become known and recognized by the success of your clients than by anything else. In essence, when your clients succeed, even if it's in some small way because of you, your work, your influence, and your impact, and potentially your affiliation with them, they are more likely to become an excited referral source and a walking billboard for your company. In essence, free and the most powerful kind of marketing. Now, if you're familiar with, say, the power of a 5-star Google review, we all try to get Google reviews. If you're not trying to get Google reviews, friends, as a little aside, try to get some 5-star Google reviews. But if you understand the power of the 5-star Google review, then you understand how businesses grow based on what other people say about it, not what you say about it. The world knows that you're biased about your own company, and you're only going to say good things about it. Of course, you're going to shout from the rooftops how good you are. But how powerful is it when somebody else sings your praises? When somebody else in the market says something good about you and your company, that's real influence and power, my friends, and that is exactly what you want. Now, if we take this from the philosophical, let's say, the theoretical, to the tactical and practical, one of the best ways to become known by the success of your clients is to do the same thing for them. Meaning, rather than beating the drum for yourself and your business, become known for shouting the praises of your clients. When you do this, not only are you helping them potentially become more successful, but you're also activating what's called the law of reciprocity. They want to reciprocate what you've done. When you do something good for somebody else, they want to do the same for you. You are activating the law of reciprocity, and it never fails. The second best way to become known by the success of your clients is to publish your own success stories. Now, for the appraisers who might be watching this out there, you likely see agents and maybe lenders publishing their own success stories on social media, usually in the form of closing day pictures with happy new homeowners. We just closed the new one. The Smiths just got the keys to their new homes. Rarely, if ever, do they say, hey, shout out to Blaine Feyen and his appraisal company for getting a high-quality appraisal back in record time. More often than not, friends, we have to be our own greatest cheerleaders. Don't be afraid to publish your own success stories in a similar fashion to let the world know that you're a person and a company of influence. You're out in the market doing good work, and you're the go-to authority and trusted guide in the market. But remember the real value of this particular proverb. You ultimately want to become known by the success of your clients. Become known by the success of your clients. That's the fourth proverb. The fifth proverb is this, and it's a proverb of performance, as all of these are. You are in partnership with anyone and everyone who touches your business in some way. I'll say it again. Friends, understand this deeply. You are in partnership with anyone and everyone who touches your business in some way. I talked at the beginning of the show, and I've talked in past shows about all the stakeholders in your business and how to see everyone who touches your business in some way as somebody who has invested in you. And again, stakeholders, not stockholders. This is from your parents and your siblings to your clients and your customers, all of the people who have invested in your growth in some way and are hoping for some kind of return on that investment, even if the return is simply in the form of pride. Most people are not looking for a financial return from your business, but they are looking at you and your business to say, I had a hand in that. Obviously, your parents don't expect you to pay them back for feeding and clothing and taking care of you for 18, 19, 20, 21 years, maybe putting you through college, or for giving you the foundation that has led you to where you are today. But they are some of the very first investors in the company of You Incorporated. You have teachers, authority figures, mentors, referral sources, and of course, customers and clients who have and are investing in you regularly. Every client who orders an appraisal from you today is investing in your company. Start to see yourself not as a delivery system of a particular set of products and services, but instead as a valuable set of relationships that must prosper and grow and last for everyone to be successful. In fact, I would say this is one of the biggest failings in the appraisal industry over the last 20 years or so. Appraisers tend to have a very self-righteous attitude and an attitude of entitlement, as if, of course, you're going to order it from me. They tend to act as if whatever business they do have coming their way is theirs, and they are owed that business. And of course, what often follows, that is an industry that hates the very people wanting to do business with them and give them a good living. Let's put this to rest right now. You, my friends, are entitled to nothing, absolutely nothing in any business or industry. Whatever you have, you are lucky to have it in it, and you should treat it that way because it could be easily gone tomorrow. You are in partnership with anyone and everyone who touches your business in some way, and the benefit of choice is on their side. It's just like when you choose air travel, when you fly on an airplane, whether it's Delta or United or Spirit Airlines, at the end of the flight, they all almost always say, "We understand and recognize that you have a choice in air travel. We thank you for choosing us." The benefit of choice is on the client and customer side. They can just as easily choose somebody else who is less angry, ornery, self-righteous, and entitled to do business with, and they are. Treat them like they could be gone tomorrow, because for many of you, they will be. That's the fifth proverb of performance. The sixth proverb of performance is this. Friends, ideas are everywhere. Ideas are easy. Ideas essentially are worthless. The proverb of performance is this. The value is not in the idea. It is in the implementation. These are proverbs of performance, of production, of getting something done. The value is not in the idea. It is in the implementation. Well, let's be honest. Ideas are everywhere. They're a dime a dozen. Everyone has ideas about things that could be, things that should be, things that don't exist yet, that they think could be the next big thing, and ways of doing things that might revolutionize a product or a service or even a whole industry. But unless there is action, unless action is taken on bringing ideas out of the ether and into the world of real things, friends, ideas are worthless. Don't tell me what your ideas are. Show me how you're going to get it done, and then do it. I, like you, have had innumerable ideas over my 50 plus years on this earth, the vast majority of which were never acted upon. I, like you, have even had what I thought were great ideas, breakout ideas. This is going to be the big one that I, of course, eventually saw somebody else implement and have some success with. Friends, ideas are everywhere, but they are worthless without implementation. They are open for anybody to take, but it's the one who does something with that wins. Having been a business and a personal coach for almost 30 years now, you can probably imagine how many ideas people have shared with me over that time. I have worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of people who use the next great idea as the reason to stop focusing on what they probably should be focused on, to focus on this new shiny object that they call an idea. The problem for almost everybody when it comes to ideas is that ideas are easy. They're fun. They're new. They're exciting. They're often energizing and alluring. But it's the implementation that's difficult. Taking an idea from idea stage to implementation stage is where most people stop and burn out, because implementation is hard. Ideas are easy. Implementation is hard. Doing is hard. Creating is hard. Ideas are easy. Have you ever thought about working out but didn't? Have you ever thought about changing your diet to eat more healthily and then ordered a pizza? Have you ever thought about changing careers or starting a new business but didn't? Have you ever had a great idea that you were sure was going to be a multi-million-dollar idea but never took action on it and then saw somebody else do it a year later? Yeah, me too, on all of those things. Ideas are great when it comes to getting and keeping those mental juices flowing, but without implementation, they mean almost nothing. Friends, ideas are easy. Implementation is hard. That's why the real value and the real payoff is in the doing. It's in the implementation, not in the idea. Now, the last point that I'll make on this proverb is that it's important to understand the difference between creativity and imagination. Being creative, by definition, entails the act of creation, which means actually bringing something into the world from the ether. Having a strong imagination, on the other hand, means being able to imagine something, but it does not actually entail creating something. You might actually have a great imagination, but the market doesn't really care about your imagination. It cares more about your creativity. And I'm not telling you not to be or have a strong imagination, just that you can't count on your imagination to put dollars in the bank account, because the market doesn't care how imaginative you are. They care how creative. The creative process entails, by definition, creating, bringing something into reality. And the market cares more about that creation process. When you create something, you're bringing something into the world that can be tested, it can be felt, it can be tasted, it can be utilized, and it can receive feedback from the market. And if the market doesn't like it, well, they're going to let you know right away, because you get almost immediate feedback. Nobody cares about your imagination. Nobody cares about your ideas. They care about what you create in the real world that solves a problem for them or makes their life easier, more enjoyable, and more profitable in some way. That's what they care about. That's the sixth proverb of performance. The seventh proverb of performance, my friends, is this: the market decides what is valuable, and it always tells the truth. I could say it a different way. The market always decides what is valuable, and it never lies. You choose which one you like the best. The market doesn't lie. It always tells the truth. You might not like it because it gives you raw and ruthless feedback in real time. The market doesn't care how much time you've spent, how difficult it was for you, how much you bled during the process, how long it took you to get your special degree and designation, how extra you are. It only cares if it can get the result it wants at the price it wants to pay. If you take nothing else away from this episode, my friends, please take this one and keep it in your back pocket the next time you're tempted to go vent on social media about how someone, some company, some process, or some idea is ruining the business you're in or your industry. We see this all the time in the appraisal business about how the AMCs and the government regulations and big appraisal companies and BlackRock and Whiterock and the shitty competitors and the low quality appraisals are ruining the industry. Friends, these are all just time wasters. They're excuses that you're using to waste time instead of building a better business model, developing an additional stream of income, developing more relationships in your market, and actually creating something. And I am not saying, by the way, that all of those things aren't actually ruining the industry or killing the business a lot of people are in. I just know that the market decides what is valuable, and it always tells the truth. It never fails. You can complain all you want, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do any good when it comes to your bank account and paying your bills. What's going to happen is going to happen, and you only have a limited amount of energy and resources to apply to something to get the greatest return. Are you going to apply it to going on social media and venting and ranting about something you have no control over? Or would you be better off taking that same energy and applying it to something you could create that could create more time, more energy, more benefit, more resources, and more income? The only thing complaining does is dog whistle to all the other people who are sitting around wasting time instead of figuring out how to differentiate their business. And remember, these are the proverbs of performance. The only thing that matters is production, because that's where real influence comes from. You have to figure out how to differentiate your business, your position, your value offering, and become the go-to expert. You have to diversify your businesses into other areas that aren't affected by those same influences if you don't want to be affected by them, and then create something of value or solve some kind of problem for a market that is willing to pay. If you don't like the way things are going, go somewhere else. Find something else. This one is super simple. It's one of the easiest ones to understand and to implement. The market decides what is valuable, not you as the provider of products and services. When you shift out of your appraiser role and into the role of consumer, it becomes much easier to comprehend. Because as a consumer, when your consumer brain shifts into high gear, your consumer brain becomes the brain of the market. As a consumer, you too are willing only to pay what you think a product or service is worth based on the type of problem it solves for you, not a dollar more. You don't care how long it took Jolly Green Giant to put beans in the can. You don't care. All you care is what else you could get for the same amount of money in the same kind of can. The market never lies, and it always tells the truth. You, the market, when you're a consumer, decides what is valuable to you, and you always tell the truth by and when you make a purchase. And as the saying goes, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The greater market of buyers of your products and services is telling you in real time what is valuable to them in that moment based on what they're willing to pay and what they're willing not to pay. For the most part, they don't care about how many degrees you have, how long it took you to complete an appraisal, how much time and effort you had to put into it, how many letters you have after your name, or how much of your blood, sweat, and tears you lost in the process or as a result. It only cares whether or not the product will solve the immediate problem that they have for the price they want to pay. So there it is, my friends, the 7 Proverbs of performance. Listen to this one over and over and over, even if it makes you angry. Once you've calmed down, you start to move into the next stage, which is acceptance and then hopefully action. Take some action today to make your business better, bulletproof, and beneficial to as many people as possible who are willing to pay for what you offer. Waste no time, my friends, complaining about things you cannot nor will not change. Just get to the business of making those changes that you need to make to be successful. Let's do a brief recap on the 7 Proverbs. Proverb number 1, you get what you believe in and constantly speak into reality, both the good and the bad. Guard where you place your attention, your energy, and your focus, because you will get what you are focusing on and speaking into reality. Number 2, real influence comes from your production, not from your personality. We're referring to the difference between real influence and influencers. I teach people how to have influence, not necessarily to become an influencer. Real influence comes from production. I want you to be a big producer. Number 3, income follows assets, not effort. It's time to divorce your time from your income. As soon as you do that, you can start to go to the moon when it comes to income, because income follows assets. Focus your time and your effort on creating assets, not on working more. Number 4, become known and recognized by the success of your clients. Become known, become recognized, become remembered, respected, and revered because of the success you help create for your clients. That's number 4. Number 5, you are in partnership with everyone who touches your business in some way. You are in partnership. That's the key word, partnership, with anyone and everyone who touches your business in some way. Remember that. You're not a service provider. You're not a product provider. You are a partner, and you are in partnership with anyone and everyone who touches your business in some way. Number 6, the value is not in the idea, friends. Ideas are worthless. They are a dime a dozen. They are everywhere. The value is in the doing. The value is in the creating. The value is in the implementation. That's number 6. Number 7, maybe this one you hate the most. The market decides what is valuable, and it never lies. The market decides what's valuable. You and I don't get to decide what's valuable. The market does that. If you don't like what you're being paid, the market is telling you something. Change your value proposition or change who you provide the value for, because the market decides what is valuable. They decide who is valuable as well, and it always tells the truth. Trust it. Know these 7 Proverbs of performance. Know them, live them, learn them, and commit them to memory as quickly as possible for the greatest success in the shortest amount of time. Now, if you're interested in seeing the video version of this episode with slides and additional commentary, the place to be is the Appraiser Increase Academy. It is free to try out for a full 30 days, no credit card required. Try it out, see if it's for you. It's one of the most positive appraiser communities out there, and it is a mere $29 per month if you decide it's something you want to go forward with. We have a very vibrant community in there. There's over 70 plus hours of video training. There's live coaching calls, 15 plus coaching exercises with worksheets and videos. There's a private Facebook group for members only where we talk about these kinds of things on a regular basis. And then we also have a live monthly call that we call our profit sharing call, and a bunch of other value-added things, skill sessions and things like that. And if you're not ready to take your business to the next level and make more money, do not check out the Increase Academy, because it will be a huge waste of your time. The Increase Academy is only for people who actually want to grow and be better tomorrow than they were yesterday and make more money in less time. Do more, be more, live more, give more. That's our motto. If that is you, my friends, go to coachblaine.com/free month, all one word, free month, coachblaine.com. Start growing today. Until I see you over in the Increase Academy, or until next week, my friends, I'm out.